In the tumultuous world of the God of War series, where the gods of Olympus cast their shadows over the mortal realm, a tale of a fierce Athenian warrior emerged. A story of vengeance, deception, and the ultimate price of power. The city of Athens, once a beacon of wisdom and culture, had fallen victim to the relentless aggression of its neighboring Greek territories. Pillaged, abused, and ravaged by endless wars, the once proud city had been reduced to a shadow of its former self. Determined to protect their home, the Athenians devised a bold strategy. They would train a select group of female warriors, capitalizing on the misconception that women were weak and easily overlooked. Among these elite fighters was Calypso, a young woman born and raised in the heart of Athens. With a fierce determination and an unwavering sense of duty, Calypso honed her skills, becoming a master of deception and a formidable warrior. Her prowess on the battlefield soon became legendary, and the neighboring cities, including the mighty Sparta, began to fear the Athenian champion. As Calypso's reputation grew, the neighboring Spartan cities grew increasingly resentful of her power. The Spartans, known for their fierce warrior culture, saw Calypso as a threat to their dominance in the region. Fearing the rise of this Athenian champion, the Spartans launched a series of relentless attacks, seeking to cripple Athens and its defenses. The battles that followed were brutal and unforgiving. Calypso, leading her fellow Athenian warriors, fought with a ferocity that was unmatched. She employed cunning tactics, ambushing Spartan patrols and cutting off supply lines. Her warriors struck swiftly and disappeared into the shadows, leaving their enemies confused and demoralized. In one particularly savage encounter, Calypso's forces intercepted a Spartan convoy carrying valuable resources. Rather than simply seizing the supplies, Calypso ordered her warriors to set the convoy ablaze, trapping the Spartan soldiers inside. The screams of the dying men echoed through the night, a chilling testament to Calypso's ruthlessness. As the war raged on, Calypso's actions became increasingly uncompromising and her reputation spread. She and her fellow elite warriors became known as the Ghosts of Athens, phantom-like figures who struck fear into the hearts of their foes. She would stop at nothing to ensure the survival of Athens, even if it meant resorting to tactics that were just as brutal as those of her enemies. Her thirst for victory consumed her, and she became a living embodiment of the city's desperation. Calypso's warriors were trained to be masters of deception and subterfuge. They would infiltrate Spartan strongholds, poisoning the food supplies or sabotaging the defenses from within. In one daring raid, Calypso's forces managed to infiltrate a Spartan garrison, slaughtering the unsuspecting soldiers in their sleep. The Spartans, once confident in their military might, found themselves increasingly unnerved by the Ghost of Athens. Calypso's exploits were whispered about in hushed tones, and her name became synonymous with the unbreakable spirit of the Athenian people. Even the bravest Spartan warriors would hesitate before engaging her in battle, for they knew that facing the Ghost of Athens meant facing a force of pure, unyielding determination. However, Calypso's path of destruction did not go unnoticed by the gods of Olympus. Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war, watched the events unfold with a mixture of admiration and concern. She recognized the power and potential of the Athenian warrior, but she also saw the darkness that had consumed her. Athena, with her piercing gaze, could see the toll that the war had taken on Calypso's soul. The once noble warrior had become consumed by her thirst for vengeance, her actions becoming increasingly ruthless and uncompromising. Athena knew that if Calypso continued down this path, she would not only bring about the downfall of Sparta, but also the destruction of her beloved Athens. One fateful day, as the battle raged on, Athena appeared before Calypso, her divine presence commanding the warrior's attention. The goddess's voice, rich with wisdom and authority, echoed through the chaos of the battlefield. "Calypso," she spoke, "your actions have not gone unnoticed. You have become a beacon of hope for your people, but your thirst for vengeance has blinded you to the true nature of the conflict." Calypso, her eyes burning with a fierce determination, listened intently as Athena continued. "A greater threat looms on the horizon, one that will test the very foundations of Olympus. A warrior named Kratos will soon rise to challenge the gods themselves. Your path, Calypso, must diverge from his, for your actions, no matter how noble, will only serve to hasten the destruction of all that you hold dear." The words struck Calypso like a thunderbolt, shattering her single-minded focus on the war against Sparta. She realized that her quest for vengeance had consumed her, blinding her to the larger forces at play. Athena's warning weighed heavily on her mind, and she knew that she could no longer continue down the path of destruction. With a heavy heart, Calypso made a decision that would forever change the course of history. She turned her back on the war, abandoning her fellow Athenian warriors and the city she had sworn to protect. In the eyes of her comrades, she was a traitor, a coward who had abandoned them in their hour of need. As Calypso fled the battlefield, she could hear the cries of her former allies, the curses and accusations that followed her into the night. But she knew that her actions, though controversial and decisive, were necessary to prevent a greater calamity. Calypso had made her choice, and she would have to live with the consequences. However, Calypso has one last ultimatum before abandoning the war against Sparta. She devised a cunning plan that would ensure the downfall of one of Sparta's most formidable warriors, Kratos. Knowing that Athena had warned her of Kratos' impending rise, Calypso was determined to prevent this threat from ever materializing. In a bold and ruthless move, Calypso infiltrated the Spartan camp, using her unparalleled skills of deception and subterfuge to gain access to Kratos' personal quarters. There, she meticulously planted a series of deadly traps and sabotaged his weapons, ensuring that the next time Kratos entered the fray, he would be at a severe disadvantage. As Calypso made her escape, she couldn't help but feel a grim sense of satisfaction. She had struck a blow against the Spartans, even as she abandoned her own people. It was a decision that weighed heavily on her conscience, but she knew that it was necessary to prevent the greater destruction that Athena had foretold. Unaware of Calypso's machinations, Kratos soon found himself facing the consequences of her actions. During a crucial battle, the traps and sabotaged weapons Calypso had left behind were triggered, causing Kratos to suffer a devastating defeat. Humiliated and enraged, the Spartan warrior vowed to seek vengeance against those who had wronged him. In the aftermath of this disastrous encounter, Kratos made a pact with the god of war, Ares, trading his soul in exchange for the power to destroy his enemies. This fateful decision would transform Kratos into the fearsome Ghost of Sparta, a merciless warrior who would go on to challenge the very gods of Olympus. Calypso's actions, driven by her desire to prevent the rise of Kratos, had unwittingly set in motion the events that would lead to the cataclysmic conflict at the heart of the God of War series. Her legacy, once celebrated as a symbol of Athenian resilience, had now become inextricably linked to the birth of one of the most formidable and destructive figures in Greek mythology. In the end, Calypso's story became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of unchecked ambition and the price of power. Her legacy, once celebrated as a symbol of Athenian resilience, was now shrouded in controversy and debate. But for those who knew the truth, Calypso's sacrifice would echo through the ages, a testament to the difficult choices that must be made in the face of overwhelming adversity.